Greetings, everybody. I'm Mr. Rodriguez, and I'm here to give you some information about band and your choices when it comes to instruments, and just to give you some general information about what band is and what will happen in the class. So, first, let's start with the introduction of what is band and what you will learn in band class. All right, so let's talk about what is band. Band is what we call an elective class, and elective classes in middle school are those fun classes that you get to take and you get to choose. Things like band, theater, orchestra, choir, art, C-Tech, and computers, and all kinds of fun classes. Band is an elective that is a year-long class. That means when you start band at the very beginning of the year, you'll have me for the rest of the year as one of your electives. Okay. The three main things that we will learn in band are as follows. Number one, the most important, is you will learn how to read musical notation. If you already know how to read music, like you've already taken piano lessons or voice lessons or any kind of lessons on an instrument, that's fantastic. That's awesome. If you've never read music before in your life and you have no idea how to do it, that's completely okay. That's what I'm here for, to help you learn how to read music. Number two is you will learn to play an instrument. And by instrument, I mean band instruments, wind instruments, and I'll demonstrate those here in just a second. So you will learn how to play an instrument. If you never played an instrument before and you have no idea how to put it together, how to make a sound on it, that's okay. That's what I'm here for. If you've played an instrument before and you want to learn more about it, that's great. That's fantastic. We can do that as well. And the last thing that we're going to learn in band is how to perform on that instrument. Hopefully next year will be a normal year and we'll be back in school. And we normally do performances for family members and community members. We participate in the Chapel Hill Parade as long, and we have many performance opportunities when it comes to band. So that's kind of just a general overview of what happens in band and some information about that. So now let's get to the real question, which is what instruments can I play in band? All right, so let's talk about the two members of the woodwind family. So these are your choices as the sixth grader if you would like to play an instrument from the woodwind family. Choice number one is the clarinet, and choice number two is the flute. So let's talk a little bit about each one of them. So the clarinet, it's basically, if you ever played recorder before, it's basically just a fancy recorder. It has all these extra buttons and stuff, but it basically works the same way as a recorder if you ever played one before. The biggest difference between the woodwind family and the brass family, which I'll explain here in just a little bit, is that the woodwind family, the instrument pretty much makes the sound for you. As long as you're blowing air into it and holding your mouth in the correct shape, the instrument will do all the work for you. So let's listen to the clarinet. Now, the clarinet can play some very low notes. It can also play some very high notes. So very, very cool instrument, very cool sounding instrument, and very, very useful in the band. Okay, the clarinet. The other member of the woodwind family is the flute. Okay, and the flute looks like this. The flute can also play some low notes. It can also play some really high notes. As a matter of fact, the flute plays the highest notes of the entire band. So those are your two choices for woodwind, the flute or the clarinet. All right, now we're going to move on to the brass family. And in the brass family, you have two choices. First is the trumpet. And second is the trombone right here. Whoa, that is so big. Okay, these two are members of the brass family. And the biggest difference in the brass family between the brass family and the woodwind family is that in the brass family, you actually produce the sound by vibrating your lips like this. Now, that's not a very pretty sound, but that's what the instruments, that's their job, to make it sound pretty. So basically, all you're doing when you play in a brass instrument is that you're buzzing your lips and then putting that buzz into this thing called a mouthpiece. And then that buzz goes through the instrument and it makes it into a very pleasant sound. So buzz into the instrument. See how much nicer that sounds? So the trumpet can play some low notes. And can also play some high notes. So a very bright, very prominent instrument of the band. Now the trombone, even though it looks weirder, it works the same way. I have to buzz my lips in order to make a sound. I put my mouth on this thing called a mouthpiece, and then I blow the air through the instrument, and this is what happens. Let's see if I can scoot that over so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's a much better sound than what you're hearing from my lips. Now the trombone is kind of unique because it has this slide that goes in and out, makes the trombone larger and smaller. So the trombone is a bigger instrument, so it produces lower sounds, and it can play some pretty low sounds. It can also play some medium and some high sounds as well. And the cool thing about the trombone is because it has this slide, it can do what no other instrument can do, is it can do a glissando, which sounds like this. And that's the way you play it, just by putting the slide in different positions. Very, very cool instrument. So those are the two members of the brass family. We have the trombone and we have the trumpet. So let's go over those choices one last time. So from the woodwind family, you have the flute, the clarinet. From the brass family, you have the trumpet and the trombone. So those are your choices as a beginning band member in sixth grade band. Does that mean that that's your only choices? No. As a sixth grader later in the year, and as a seventh grader and an eighth grader, you have the choice to try out for different instruments, things such as the saxophone, the bass clarinet, the oboe, the bassoon, the French horn, the tuba, the baritone. The great thing about these four instruments is that if you know how to play one of them, then you can play one of the step-up instruments. So, for example, if you know how to play flute or clarinet, you can learn how to play the saxophone. It's basically kind of the same thing. If you can play a trumpet or a trombone, you can play the French horn, the tuba, the baritone. So we start on these instruments because they're simple and they're easy to learn, and then it's super easy to move on to a different instrument. Now, if you're a student who's taken music lessons before, like, for example, you're taking drum lessons, and you've taken drum lessons for a while, and you would like to play drums in band, this doesn't mean that you can't play drums. It means that you and I and your parents need to have a conversation and probably a short audition to see how you are. And if I feel confident that you can start on drums, then I will let you start on drums. But usually those spots are reserved for people who are either taking lessons currently or have taken lessons in the past. Same thing goes for an instrument like saxophone. Okay. So again, it doesn't mean that you can't start on saxophone. It means that you need to take private lessons before you can do it in my band. Okay. So hopefully I've answered some of your questions that you had about band, about joining band, and what your choices are. Okay. Woodwind, clarinet, flute, brass, trumpet, trombone. So those are your four choices for beginning instruments. Okay, my name is Mr. Rodriguez. Again, I'm the band director here at McDougle Middle, and I hope to meet all of you, and sincerely hope that you will join the band because I want you to be in band. I want you to join my class. So thank you all so much, and we'll see you soon.